What's up, Real Life English? Welcome to another episode of Real Life TV. I'm Chad, and today I'm going to teach you all about how to really pronounce regular verbs in the past.
Is this real life?
Okay, so many English learners from all around the world often make a very big mistake when pronouncing regular verbs in the past. Have you ever said, I traveled around the world? Maybe you said, I watched a movie last night? Well, unfortunately, you are wrong if you said this, because in English we don't always add an extra syllable to the verb when we conjugate. So the only time you are going to add an extra syllable to a verb when you conjugate it is when the verb ends in a D or a T sound. For example, the verb to want. I wanted. So the ED is going to take on the T, the last consonant as well. I wanted to go traveling. I wanted to go. In American English, they tend to cut the T sound. So they'll say, I wanted to go. Okay? So that's when the verb ends in a T sound or a D sound. For example, the verb to decide. Technically, decide ends with an E, but the last sound of the verb is a D sound. I decided to go traveling. Okay, so remember, you only add the extra syllable when the verb ends in a T or a D sound. Okay, this is a really difficult one. When a regular verb ends with a CH sound, an SH sound, a K, an S, a P, or an F, the ED actually takes on a T sound. It's a very subtle T sound. For example, if I was to say I watched a movie, I would actually say I watched. That's the actual ED sound on the verb to watch. I watched a movie last night. Like I said, it's also with the SH sound. So if I wash my clothes, I would say I washed my clothes yesterday. I washed my clothes. Okay, same thing, the K sound. It's the verb to like. I really liked. I liked the movie. So you're not even going to hear the ED sound. It's a very quick T sound. So you're going to have to try to practice this a few times, especially with the SH and the CH. I washed. I watched. Okay, just to give you an example of the S, the P, and the F sounds. For example, the verb to pass. I passed the test. Passed. Again, the T sound. P, he stopped. He stopped at the traffic light. He stopped. And lastly, the F sound. For example, the verb to laugh. Obviously, laugh ends with a GH, but like I said, it's the sound. The sound is an F sound, laugh. I laughed a lot when I saw the comedian. I laughed. And all the rest of the regular verbs, when you conjugate them, if they don't end in any of these sounds that I have just explained, they're just going to take on a very simple D sound. For example, play. I played the guitar yesterday. So it's just a d sound. I played the guitar. Another very important thing that can help you guys out a lot with pronunciation, when pronouncing these verbs that end in a T sound, like I washed or I watched, if those verbs are followed by another word that starts with a vowel, the T actually becomes a D sound. If I'm talking about a movie, I can say he watched it. He watched it would say he watched it. So this is very common in American English. Another example, a verb that ends in S, for example, pass. He passed on the information. In American English, I would actually say he passed on the information. He passed on the information. T becomes a D. And the last example is, let's say, the verb to laugh. He laughed at the joke. An American would pronounce this, he laughed at the joke. So when we finish with the T and it's the T sound, then it starts again the next word with a vowel. Laughed at becomes laughed at. Okay guys, that concludes today's episode of Real Life TV. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you'll get all of our newest videos. And if you click below, you go to our website where you'll get the whole full transcript for everything I'm saying. Plus we have a lot of other articles, podcasts, videos, and everything else that's happening in real life English. So, hope to see you guys next time and keep it real.